you come from worked primarily on Wall Street and then moved out here. And Wall Street, my sense is that there's a lot of focus on the next earnings report. What are the results? How were the quarterly revenue growth and so forth? Somewhat of a short-term focus you'll often hear. And I think that what I've heard from Google over the years is this effort to sort of think very long-term. And so how do you balance that sort of pressure to deliver in the short term while keeping your eye on the long-term ball?
So even when I was at Morgan Stanley, I did not believe in earnings guidance. I think earnings guidance is a trap. One of two things happens because the world is not static. You are either going to miss the guidance or you're going to do the wrong thing so that you don't miss the guidance. And so it doesn't, I think that what's really important is that investors understand how you think. And the metaphor I constantly use is we need to have lights on the runway so they generally know where you're going. You generally know where you're going. They know how you think. They know how to build a model. But you got to stay focused on the long term. Google does that, I would say, has done that from its inception extraordinarily well, which is there's a very simple message. We are focused on long-term revenue and earnings growth. And if you start with the user, if it's Eric Schmidt has said this. He said what URL really stands for is user first, revenue later. And I think that's a good way to think about it. You start with the user, you think about long-term revenue growth, and good things will follow. And that's been the very strong commitment. What I have often said is long-term revenue growth and the innovation that comes with it is what will sustain the business. And it's imperative. Now, our margins may come down over time, but if you're starting with desktop search, which is one of the most perfect businesses, anything that you add to it by definition will reduce margins, but not profit dollars. And so we're looking to continue to add to the user experience by investing in the long term, and unequivocally think that's the right thing to do. I have complemented that important statement by saying that doesn't give one a pass on being thoughtful about how you deploy all your resources. And I think if investors understand and have such a strong track record of innovation actually yielding results for users and for shareholders, they understand the importance of it. And complementing that with, we respect the resources we're putting against these various opportunities. We need to be smart about that and deliberate about that. It ends up with the right outcome for investors.